Okay, so guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in today's video we're going to be learning how to master the number system. It's no guy news that most bass players actually find it hard to understand the number system and as well sync it to the tonic surface and the alphabetical names of every note on the bass guitar. This is not just peculiar to only bass player, also both keyboard players and other musicians who deal with the surface notations are also finding it hard to understand this thing. So if you are in that shoe, grab your bass and grab your notes. Let's get into the video so we'll find out how to understand this number system. Okay, so basically when we talk about the number system, we're talking about how you can use the numbers to represent the same thing, right? Instead of saying do, you're going to use numbers to represent those do. Instead of saying C, you're going to use numbers to represent those things. And I'm going to be explaining what these numbers can mean in different scenarios, right, or in different cases. So when we talk about 1, we are talking about do. When we talk about 2, we are talking about re. When we talk about 3, we are talking about mi. So it's just like outlining the 7 notes in the major scale, right? When you outline the 7 notes in the major scale, then you write out the numbers that suit it, starting from do. So if do should be 1, definitely re should be 2, mi should be 3, and then fa should be 4. Okay, so you take it like that in that order. So, and again, when we're talking about numbers and letters, so when you have C, you definitely know that C should be 1, D should be 2, and then E should be 3, right? And then F 4 in that same order. So if you represent, you still have 7 notes that represent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. Then C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. I already made it 8, so that completes the whole octave. So when you see 8, also 8 is also representing octave. Okay, that's the 8th note, which is going to be the same note you started from. So but most times we like to say 1, but if you say 8, I'm literally trying to tell you high and low octave. So for example, if I have the major scale, so that's like the octave of what I'm playing. So if I want to say it again, I can still say C, D, E, F, G, A, B, 7, right? C, 8. If I want to call it in numbers, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I will also advise you guys to try and master it like this. So when you're practicing, try to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or at the same time write it down like I'm going to be showing you in the screen right now, with the numbers on it. That way it helps you to understand it. Now we have 7 numbers we make use of on the bass, right, for the major scale, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now you still have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So it's just like a progressing number that progresses the same way you have your C major 7th. Right, when you see that kind of number representation, we are trying to say the 7th note of that chord. Okay, we are trying to say play the C major chord with the 7th note. And if you calculate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right, you see that T is going to be that note. So if you play everything together, do, mi, so, ti. So when we're even talking about the triad, root note, 3rd, and 5th. So we are saying you are going to play the 1st note of the chord, the 3rd note of the chord, the 5th note of the chord, and the 7th note. So C major 7th altogether. So what we're doing with the number system is to use numbers to represent or replace maybe other notes, maybe like tonic surface. Or instead of me to tell you, how will I tell you C major 7th in a different way? You see that both the number, I have to include them. So I'm still trying to tell you play a C major chord, but now I'm saying add a 7th note to it. Now 7th note, which means that it's going to start from the 7th, it's going to start counting from the root, right, which is the same thing with the formula: root note, 3rd, and 5th. C major 7th, do, mi, so. So it's just like telling you to play do, mi, so with a 7th note on it, right, which is do, mi, so, ti. Now most times one of the things that confuse us with these things, that I'm going to be breaking down the big English that I've already said in like the past 4 minutes of this video. Now instead of telling you, if somebody tells you to play the C major 7th chord, the person is literally telling you to play the do chord. That's what it means. So if I say C major, if you already understand from the beginning of this video, when we already have outlined the C to be 1, at the same time do, right? And then the D to be 2 at the same time re. That should give you a good understanding of what I just said now. So when somebody say play the C major chord, the person is literally telling you to play the do chord or the 1 chord, whichever way that you understand it. But the best way to just think about it is like the person is telling you to play the do chord, which is do, because C is do alphabetically, right? Now the same thing when we say play, but because we have to include number in whatever we're doing so that it makes it easier to understand, I cannot tell you play the do mi so ti chord, right? Now I want to tell you to play the same do chord, which is this triad. But now I want to tell you that I need you to add another element to that do chord. So if I want to still say it in this same format, I might just say play the do chord with your T on it. But then I cannot say T on it. I can say play the do chord with your 7th on it. So if I say play the do chord with your 7th, that means a 7th note. If I start calculating from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if I start calculating from this do, remember we said the root formula for the triad is the root note, 3rd and 5th, which is do. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we are calculating from the scale degree. Okay, 7th note of that scale. So everything together, do mi so ti. You get? So there are so many ways we can actually understand this thing, which I'm going to try as much as possible to keep it simple, at the same time go deep in what I'm trying to explain. Now there are many ways or several times where we try to use these same numbers and letters, which it becomes confusing. Now, like I said to one of my students in one of my private classes, if you're trying to relate the number to progression, it's different from when you're trying to relate it to a chord or to a key. That's where the whole confusion starts. Now, like we always say, we have different places that can be our do on the frets. And once we're playing, like bass players, when we're playing, this is key C, right? Now, this is my do. If I'm playing on key D, this is my do, right? That's why we cannot keep saying do everywhere. So we have to also introduce the number system, the alphabetical system, and then the tonic surfer system. So we have to use different means to differentiate these things, which is very important, guys. Now, when we're trying to talk about key, we like to call these things their alphabetical order name, right? Which is C, C sharp, D, like that, E flat, E, F, right? Because I cannot come and tell you play on key fa or play on key 4. Now, if I tell you to play on key 4, you're going to get confused because we have 4 in every of the keys. Well, why do I say that? Now, if I'm playing on key C sharp, if you tell me to play 4, I'm not going to play this 4 because this 4 is for key C. Do you understand? So I'm going to play this 4. Now, but if you tell me everybody on key C sharp, or let's say everybody on key F, do you see that? I know that you're referring to this guy. But if you tell me everybody on key 4, because you use that word key, so I want to relate it to maybe you're trying to say F. But if you say key 4, definitely I'm not going to lie to you. From saying this, your brain is already thinking about F, which is fa. Now, and I cannot still tell you everybody on key fa using the tonic surfer name. That's why we have to differentiate them using number, alphabetical, and tonic surfer. So it depends on the scenario you're trying to refer to. So if I say everybody on key fa, I'm literally telling you that you should play fa. But now, what if we are playing on a different key? But saying key fa, you're trying to tell me to play on fa. You get? So that's why we have to differentiate them. So like I said, if we're trying to refer to keys, we try to call them the alphabetical name most of the times. When we're trying to refer to these things in chords, we call them the alphabetical name. So that way it's more easier. So when I say everybody on key F, you can easily find your key F, right? And when I say everybody on key E, you know what I'm referring to. Now, most times when we're trying to refer to chords, we also like to refer to them in the alphabetical name. So it makes it easier to actually understand. So when I'm saying C sharp, or I say C major, I'm saying the do chord, right? When I'm saying E minor, I'm saying mi soti, which is the mi chord, right? Very simple. Now, but when I'm trying to refer to progression, now this is where it gets complicated. Sometimes I might try to call numbers, I might try to call the alphabetical name, but which most people don't do, because if you want to call the alphabetical order the way it's supposed to be, there's a way we are actually supposed to call it, which I actually find it difficult learning. When I was learning bass, I was actually confused with that. So let's say if I'm playing on key C sharp, what it means, if I'm going to call the progression in the alphabetical order, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say it means that every note is going to still represent or retain that its original name. Let me show you what I mean by that. So I'm playing on key C sharp. If I want to tell you, for example, a 1-4-5 progression, which is 1-4-5-4. So I'll say C sharp, F sharp, G sharp, F sharp, 1. You get that's it for if I want to call progression in alphabetical order, which is rare. You not see people doing it, but then that's an added knowledge that you just have to know, because I actually find it hard when I was learning. So I felt like it's important to actually let you know what it means when we say, when you actually come across something like this, right? Okay, so back to what I was doing. So when we're trying to call out their chord names, we also call them in alphabetical order. So it's easier when we mix it with the numbers. So if I say C major, C minor, so like that. So it's easier to actually differentiate them. So at the same time, when I'm calling them in progression, I can call number and I can call tonic solfa, which is most common, right? If I'm doing number system, if I'm on do, I can say 1 4 5 4 1. Now, one of the things that it's very important to note is that in this particular number system, if I want, I can decide to do sharp and flat, right? I believe you should know when a note carries sharp on it, you know what it means, and when a note carries flat on it, you know what it means. Sharp, 1 step forward, flat, half step downward. Okay, that's easy. So 1 4 flat 5. Now what I just said is flat 5, so fi or sharp 4. That's easy to actually represent. Now when I now say tonic solfa, I'm going to do do fa sol fa do fi sol, like that. So if you look at the numbers we outlined, we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Now 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 are like the notes that we have on the major scale. But now when we want to represent them, we have 12 notes in music. We tend to represent the whole 12 notes in music, differentiating them using flat and sharp. That's how it becomes easy for us to always remember. I believe that's basically very simple thing that you can actually put to practice. But I would also recommend that you write out the notes 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, and then C D E F G A B, then do re mi fa sol la ti. Just write it down like this, and then easier to memorize and master. All right, so if you found this video helpful, I want to do well to hit the like and subscribe button, and then see you in the next video, guys.